Here's how to catch more summer bass with a spinnerbait. Generally, in the spring and fall, when we're fishing a spinnerbait, the most efficient way to run a spinnerbait is actually to think of it as a kind of like excavating a dig site, right? So you're going to cast your spinnerbait out first and then bring it in on the top of the water column, see if any fish are reacting to it. Then you just cast it back out again, kind of let it sink a little bit more, and then bring it through the middle of the water column, and then cast it out again, and then let it go all the way down and fish it on the bottom, and kind of figure out where fish are going to be reacting to this. And then that will guide kind of the rest of your day of fishing. And that can still work in the summer. But right now, what you notice and what I've been noticing is that you'll see a lot of fish kind of boiling on the surface of the water. Like not necessarily jumping up and popping fish, but more boiling. And that's when the spinnerbait becomes super deadly in the summer. So in the summer, what that means is that instead of fishing this spinnerbait and checking every depth of the water column, we're going to be casting this out and reeling it in immediately, pretty quickly. What we want to do is keep this right under the surface of the water and barely have these blades breaking, because when they break the top of the water, they'll spit water just like a buzzbait. Now, when you're kind of fishing a pond or a lake, if you see those boils happening, you're going to cast your spinnerbait out there and burn it right under the top of the water. And fish, if they're chasing little bait fish right now, and in the summer, there's so many different kinds of fish babies. You got shad, you got bluegill babies, you got bass babies that they could be eating. And this spinnerbait will emulate a little ball of fish just running. And then once it's spitting, it also seems like that ball of bait fish is running from something. In the spring, my favorite spinnerbait is this. This is a Megabass SV3. It's a much smaller, compact spinnerbait, and it's great for colder water when bass aren't looking for those big meals. They just need to chase some smaller bait fish to feed their slower metabolisms. However, right now, when we're talking about this summer spinnerbait fishing, I like going to something like this. This is a War Eagle Screaming Eagle spinnerbait. It's a much fuller profile, has bigger blades, and what this is that in the summer, when the bass have a higher metabolism, they want to eat something bigger. They need to fill themselves. So a bigger spinnerbait's a great option, but also these bigger blades spit more water when we're fishing it right under the surface of the water and having these blades break the top of the water. For the weight of the spinnerbaits, I prefer to go lighter than heavier because I want to be fishing this on the top of the water column. Heavier spinnerbaits require you to fish a lot faster to keep this thing on the top of the water. So like a 1/4 ounce or 3/8 ounce spinnerbait's really great. And for your trailers, I generally like to fish something like a Megabass SV3 that doesn't need a trailer, or using these very thin kind of split tail worms from Zoom. However, right now in the summer, when we're trying to keep these spinnerbaits on the top of the water column, I really like going to a paddle tail. The reason for that being is that because of these paddle tails, it catches more water and it will help your spinnerbait want to rise up in the water column instead of sink. Right now in the summer is not the time to be packing away your spinnerbaits. It's the time to be casting them out and fishing them super fast, looking for those boils and covering a bunch of water and treating this bait almost like a topwater bait. So what are you waiting for? Get out there.